Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. We are going to be speaking to some individuals who work and assist with victim services in our Oklahoma Department of Corrections agency. I'm going to introduce Alan Cross and let him tell you his title.
Restitution Accounting supervisor. Me and I supervise one person, Tammy Judici. So we're a big unit, handles a lot of things. Dealing with restitution, along with supervision fees. And so we cover anything for people that are not incarcerated, payment-wise.
I'm going to ask Alan some questions that we get. First one, Alan. The judge ordered restitution. How do victims receive the money?
When we receive the paperwork, we set up the restitution schedule here at DOC. That's for us to collect because some stay with the DA's office. So the ones that are forwarded through pay through DOC, we set that up. Now when the offender pays, then we would forward the money on over to the victims. So it's dependent on them, the offender, following that obligation, making that monthly obligation payment.
And that follows them when they go to probation or parole, or is that a setup they have to do?
The restitution would start when they get out onto probation, or if they never was incarcerated when they came, because we do get some that are not on probation. So restitution order will have the start date. Some will say start as of today's May 15th, 2025, or some will say 90 days after incarceration. Their monthly obligations are set up at the court level, unless it's noted in there for the probation parole officer to come up with the schedule.
And that kind of goes to our next question. If they happen to go back to jail or to back to prison, what happens to restitution?
You want to say it gets put on hold because when they're incarcerated, they are not obligated to pay. They still can pay, but when they're incarcerated, they don't have much funds.
And what if they do not pay or haven't set up that payment or are not taking that responsibility?
That's, if they're on probation, that would be more the probation parole officer to see what they can do. If they're not being supervised, then that would follow through with the district attorney's office, see how they want to proceed.
What would you like for concerned individuals to know about restitution? Is there any helpful hints or things that could assist with the calls you get to?
I can relate to them. I had an experience where I had a car stolen a long time ago and restitution was set up. It was a couple of decades before I saw anything. The amount that I got was minimal. So sometimes it takes a while before payments come in if they're incarcerated. It's not really set up for me to call up the offenders to say, hey, why aren't you making your payment? I do get calls from the victim saying, where's my money? I haven't received it yet. You need to pay me my money. And I feel with them because I would love to tell them, hey, it's right here. Here we go. But it's based on the individual following that court order, if they're going to make that payment or not. When it's set up through DSC, through the court order, the offender is supposed to pay X amount of dollars to fulfill that restitution. Until that's paid in full, or a court order saying it's no longer needed, or the victim says, I've had enough, no more. So if the victim passes away and there's still a balance remaining, we will, if we can get the proper documentation, we can transfer that over to the surviving spouse or family member that's on the
beneficiary.
Mm-hmm. There are things that we have to verify before we can do that. So sometimes it's not a quick, oh, here we go. Mm-hmm. It takes a little bit more investigation just to see if, yes, we can set up and put it in here and we can do that.
And those are court ordered, so a lot of times you have to have the proper documentation in order to do those changes. And if someone, let's say, if they change their address or mailing address where the money is going and stuff like that, do they contact you and give you that update?
Yep, we would need a document from them stating, I have moved, here is my old address, here is the new address. And that way we have it on documentation so we can be audited. We have been audited. Hey, well, what's going on with these ones? Where did the payments go? And so as long as we have all that documentation to prove what happened, then it was there. So,
is it a check that's cut for restitution, or is it?
We do mail out checks.
Okay.
And they fall under that state statute. They're good for 90 days. If they're not cashed, they will be voided, reissued. If multiple checks have been at about 4 that are voided, reissue in a row, then the account's sort of placed on hold to see if we can get an updated address or find out what's going on. Some cases, the victim passes away. The individual is still obligated to pay. They still make their payments. those funds are collected, and part of state statute will be forwarded on to victims comp services at the DA's office, and then provided in those funds where they can be. So it's still going to victims, maybe not the one assigned in that case.
What if the individual passes away that's supposed to pay restitution?
If they're under current supervisions with P&P, they do send us a notification of the passing. Rare occasions, we will get notification that this person passed away, and then that would stop their obligation, because the obligation to pay doesn't forward on to someone else. There could be many cases, and their restitution's open until resolved. So there are some that are still out there from like 1985 that haven't been paid in full yet.
Thank you, everybody. Great information. If anybody has any questions or things we didn't cover today, please go to the website and look for victim services, or any other programs we spoke of are searchable on that website.